Indigenous studies expert at Simon Fraser University in Vancouver, and a member of the Piikani First Nation. Good to have you with us. Thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
All right, so you're watching what's going on at the AFN meeting, of course, and I'm just curious if I can start with the project that would affect British Columbia, this idea of a possible pipeline, and very much against it at this Assembly of First Nations meeting going on in Ottawa. Your thoughts on what might happen?
Oh, well, that whole pipeline controversy, it's driven by fears of an oil spill, the tanker ban, and for good reason. I mean, the Exxon Valdez disaster in 1989 still has its mark on the land and the sea around Alaska, and there's very real fears here that something similar could happen. It could wipe out entire coastal communities and their livelihoods. So there's a real fear about that particular resolution. I saw the Haida counselor who introduced it, and yeah, that's one of the reasons that they cite is that Exxon Valdez disaster.
Yeah, what about access to clean drinking water, Eldon, if I can ask you about that, because that's something else that the Prime Minister has said will be prioritized in the new year. What's your takeaway there?
Well, it's been pretty much the mantra of every prime minister for the last, couple generations. And at the same time, Indigenous people are still dealing with well water advisories and poor quality water, polluted water. So, yeah, this is the perennial promise, but it's also the perennial letdown.
Yeah, perennial promise and perennial letdown. What about child welfare reform? And give us your take on that, because I know you've studied that as well.
Yeah, I mean, this is something that, again, it's an ongoing preoccupation with the government, but it's also one that has been passed down from generations. Like, since 1967, you could pretty much guarantee that every government, whether it was conservative or liberal, has been grappling with the same problem, and it doesn't seem that we're any closer to a solution.
And what about the changes possibly coming in terms of people who are eligible for status, changes to the Indian Act, and this so-called second generation cutoff being altered, changed, relaxed?
Certainly, when Canada patriated its constitution in 1982, it guaranteed equality of justice for all men and women. And the Indian Act has been one that has been particularly problematic because it had embedded gender inequality right from the start, with having Indigenous women lose status if they married a white man, but also having white women gaining status if they married an Indian man. So there has been this gender inequality embedded in the Indian Act, and yeah, it's one that still eludes equitable solution.
Eldon Yellowhorn joining us from Vancouver, Indigenous studies expert at Simon Fraser University, and himself a member of the Piikani First Nation. Thank you for this, Eldon. Good to see you.
Thank you.